So in today's video, I want to talk about my personal struggles with approach anxiety after a 5-month break. Now, if you guys have been watching our content or keeping up to date with social freedom, both myself and Ben have just officially isolated ourselves the last 5 months in Thailand to refilm one of our online products, Social Freedom Unleashed, but we've now created a new program called Unleashed 2.0. Now, during that period, both myself and Ben, literally, all we did for 5 months straight is sat in a fucking dark room with camera equipment filming this new product. 12 hours a day, pretty much for 4 months straight. Also doing the editing and all the other rigmarole that comes with creating a new product. Now, during that period, I was very focused on gym and other forms of self-development, spirituality, meditation, and all other facets of self-development as a whole. And moving forward from there, the goal was to go into monk mode, hustle, work on the business for a while, then come back to Bali, where it's complete freedom, it's party mode, there's heaps of beautiful European backpackers, lots of hot Russians. It's like the ideal place to go out and meet people, to socialize, to hook up with hot chicks and have a fucking good time. And I deluded myself to think that after a 5-month break, because I've been doing this shit for so many years now in terms of self-development and cold approach and the whole dating thing, I truly believed even if I took a 5-month break, I would be able to come back and just start absolutely fucking crushing it. I didn't think that approach anxiety was something that I would still struggle with. Now, to be completely honest, approach anxiety is always something that's going to be there. You're always going to have resistance when meeting new people, when you're meeting strangers, when you're approaching beautiful women, through the process of cold approach, at bars and nightclubs, on beaches, at parks, things like this. But I genuinely thought it would be very easy to get over with a little bit of momentum. But little did I realize after a 5-month break, the crippling approach anxiety would come back to the point that it literally crippled me. And it's the first time that I have almost got back in touch with how my students feel. Because I have a lot of guys come and jump on our programs, whether it be our live 5-day immersion or our online mentorship program. And one of the biggest struggles for most men when going out there and improving their dating lives is getting over approach anxiety. And for me, I lack a little empathy in this area because I'm like, bro, just use progressive desensitization. Have the right fucking mindsets. Just go for it. Use emotional leverage and you'll be right. But I forget, for the people that haven't actually built social momentum, haven't been out there socializing and meeting new people, actually focusing on this area, if you've taken a big break from this, I forgot how intense approach anxiety can actually be. I forgot how rattled you can be when put in new social environments. I forgot how hard you get in your head and not in your body and you can't express yourself or be charismatic or be the best version of you. So I just kind of wanted to level with you guys and I understand the struggles that you have. Now, we have a live 5-day immersion coming up in like a week's time. And one of my big concerns was like, okay, we've been focused on business for the last 5-6 months now. I probably need to get back out there, start socializing, meeting some cute girls, having some fun. So that way I'm sharp for my programs because I want to be able to turn up and be able to, operate at a high level for my clients. And I was like, you know what, Ben, dude, fuck it. Let's take a break from business and let's just go out for the next 7 days straight, build momentum again before we have our workshop. And I did. And wow, did I come to the realization that a break is very detrimental to your social success. I'm not saying it's impossible to get back to where you were, but what I am saying is there's a shit ton of resistance that you will feel. And for me, the first 3 days of going out was absolute fucking torture. Now I completely understand how people feel. When you take a massive break from socializing, from hanging out with your friends, from meeting new people, breaking outside of your comfort zone, doing new things, I forget how big the ego can grow in the comfort zone. And it's probably one of the most detrimental things for your development because as you sit in your comfort zone, you start to delude yourself to how important you are, how amazing you are, how easy life is, or that like you think to yourself, after this little break, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to start crushing it with women again. I'm going to go out and I'm going to be very socially free. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to have a lot of success. It's almost delusional to think that you could take a massive break from your social life and then just go back out there and start crushing it. Beforehand, I genuinely thought it was possible. I've never taken a break this long before. Before this, I've done like 6-7 years of actively going out like every weekend, at least 3-4 times a week, consistently for years. And yeah, the first 3 days of going out was fucking horrendous. I was in my head. I had social anxiety for the first time in many, many years. I had approach anxiety that held me back from even just talking to a relatively unattractive girl. Like even talking to them was scary. And I just remember just feeling so much fucking resistance. It was crazy because I remember being on the beach going, all right, it's time, Alex. You're going to go out there. You're going to meet some pretty girls because so many fucking hot Russians and Europeans running around. It's easy enough to fucking, go and get some dates and have some success and get the momentum back before we start our program. And I remember just sitting there just crippled with approach anxiety, riddled with it. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? I've been doing this for so many years now. Why am I struggling so much? And I remember walking up and down the beach for like 2 hours and I've seen all these pretty girls walking past and I'm just like, fuck, why can't I approach? And I remember it was a few days back, I had this guy, he recognized me. He'd been watching our YouTube content or joined our Facebook group or something. He walks up to me and I'm sitting there just like seething, bro, just like so fucking frustrated with the amount of anxiety I had. And he comes up, he's like, "Oi, bro, are you Alex from Social Freedom?" And I remember looking and I'm so in my head right now because I'm just going through all this internal fucking turmoil and resistance. And I remember looking at him going, no, bro, I'm not sure who you're talking about because I did not want to interact with someone new right now because I'm struggling with my own shit. He's like, no, bro, I watch your YouTube channel. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I'm just hanging out, bro. I'm just an Aussie, yeah. He's like, no, bro, I'm pretty sure you DM'd me on Facebook once. I'm like, oh, fuck, yeah, okay, bro. Yes, I'm Alex from Social Freedom. And I remember just being so fucking awkward and having so much resistance because my ego had just developed and become so big and attached to the previous identity that I had, which was being socially free, being charismatic, being loose, not giving a fuck. And it just reminded me that it's like everyone goes through these periods when you take breaks. I remember running into another friend who was actually a coach many years ago. And I really like this guy. I also idolize him a little bit because he's very good at what he does. And even when I was interacting with him, I was in my head. I couldn't think properly. I couldn't. every single time I was trying to talk, I would be like filtering everything that I say. There was like a 3-second delay before I would respond. He'd be telling jokes and being really funny, and I'm like, yeah, bro, that was funny. Like I didn't know what to say or how to express myself. And what I really learned from this interaction with this particular peer is I told him about my anxiety. I told him about my resistance to approaching and how I felt. And he said something that really stuck with me. He said, bro, I went through a very similar thing. I just came out of like a 2-year relationship. And the funny thing is, when you go into social isolation for a little while, and let's say back in the past, maybe you were a little bit more charismatic and more free and you were doing all right in your dating life, when you have a relationship or you take a break, for some reason your ego develops itself to the point where it thinks it's going to be at the same level in terms of like your ability socially. It feels like you're going to be just as good as you were in the past, but in the now after a break. And you go and put all this pressure on yourself to perform. You put all this pressure on yourself to be like super free, super charismatic, absolutely kill it in your dating life, and just everything's going to be easy. But you have to remember your ego has grown. And when it's grown like that, it becomes attached to the outcome. It has an expectation. And if you know anything about social dynamics, when you have expectations with people, with women, with the different peers that you interact with, whether it be getting validation or having people give you good reactions or having some form of dating success, this repels people. It's a form of scarcity when you get attached. And he reminded me, he's like, bro, like you have to remind yourself of the little wins, because for me, I'm out there in the first 3 days of trying to get over my fucking approach anxiety and social anxiety after being in isolation. I put this pressure on myself that like, okay, like I'm a dating coach. I've been doing this for years. I have people pay me like large amounts of money to come work with me. I need to start killing it instantly. So I just assumed that I would go out and I would just start like, consistently taking home like really fucking attractive girls. I would be like super free and charismatic, blah, 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 blah. But I wasn't. And he's like, bro, you can't have that expectation on yourself because, dude, you've been in isolation. You've got to redevelop the muscles. Very similar to the gym. When it comes to socializing, let's use the metaphor with gym, right? Let's say you go to the gym for a year and you get your bench press up to like 80 kilo bench, right? Let's just say that for a fucking random number. And you get strong. Let's use 100 actually, it's a round number. You get to 100 kilo bench press, you're at your prime. It's easy to lift. You have the momentum, you have the training, you have the diet all in place. But let's say you take 5 months off socializing or 5 months off the gym, you can't expect to go back into the gym and start lifting a fucking 100 kilos on the bench press. You can't. Your body's become weak, you've become fatigued, your diet hasn't been on point. You almost have to start from ground zero. You have muscle memory, but you have to start from a lower point. And he said, dude, you have to remind yourself of the little wins. You can't just go out there and start crushing it again. You have to warm up. You have to get your diet on point. You have to get your training on point. And in a social dynamics perspective, you have to just loosen up a little bit, start socializing, progressively desensitizing, remembering the mindsets and pushing past that resistance. And that was the point that gave me permission. It's like, okay, when any of us, including me or for you guys, if you take breaks from socializing, take breaks from going and learning success with women or practicing cold approach and trying to work on this area of your life, you have to take the pressure off yourself and remember to enjoy the little wins. The little wins could be as simple as you made the effort to go out and to push your comfort zone, to step outside of your comfort zone. The little win could be just saying hello to a random stranger, giving someone a random compliment, interacting with someone new in your social circle and trying to maintain and hold a conversation, practicing even just holding eye contact without breaking tension. Remembering that if you do make a few approaches, when you get rejected, which is inevitable after a break because you are so anxious in your head and there's so much resistance there and there's an attachment to outcome, which actually naturally repels people from a social dynamic perspective, you have to remember to yourself, it's like, dude, yes, that might hurt the ego. You might be incredibly frustrated by that and it might hurt and you might even have more resistance to go out and socialize, but that's normal. You can't just go out there and start fucking killing it again. And when he told me this, it really took the pressure off and it made me remember, it's like, okay, I have to remember the little wins. It's like, did I go out today? Yes, I fucking did. Did I say hello to a stranger? Yes, I did. Did I approach a pretty girl that I was scared to approach? Yes, I did. And progressively, I starting more conversations, approaching pretty girls, interacting with new people, and slowly but surely I became more and more loose. And I had to remember the process of progressive desensitization, building up that social momentum. I had to remember what it was like to be rejected and detach your ego from the outcome and from the rejection and not take it so fucking personally. I had to detach from being that guy that's been known to be very successful with women and have a lot of fucking dating results on a consistent basis and remember it's like, okay, that was the old version of you. You hit a peak at some point, but now it's okay to start again and build back that muscle memory. And then progressively over about 3 days, I built the muscle back, which was cool because for about 3 days there, during this period, I started to have really fucking negative thoughts. I started thinking, like, maybe this is not for me. Maybe I've lost it. Maybe I've lost the edge. Maybe I can't be this dating coach guy that travels the world and helps people with this area. Maybe I should just get a girlfriend. Like maybe this whole meeting chicks thing is just too hard. I can't do it anymore. Maybe I'm too old. I started having thoughts like, maybe I should just go back on dating apps. It's like, it's okay. Like, that sounds easier. Maybe I'll just message girls on Instagram. That's more comfortable. And I haven't had thoughts like this for years. And I remember thinking to myself, like, that is so fucked up that I would, just from a little bit of anxiety and fear and resistance, that I would be at the point in my development that I would just be okay, just settle for fucking mediocrity and just go back to what the average person does. And I'm sure you guys can probably relate to that. It's like if you are out there trying to improve your dating life and you're going out there trying to approach beautiful women through the process of cold approach, you probably have the exact same thoughts. It's like, oh my God, this is so tough. There's so much fear involved, so much anxiety, so much fear, so much rejection. So let's just go back to the dating apps. Let's message some girls on Instagram or fucking slide into the DMs on Facebook or however you're doing it. And I had the exact same thought process, but I was like, nah, fuck that shit. That's for the weak-minded. I'm not that person. And I'm well aware that if I was to settle and go back to the idea of a dating app or slide into a girl's Instagram DMs or something, like I'm probably most likely going to be hanging out and dating like girls that are well beneath my personal standards. I've never met anyone in my entire life that crushes it on online dating apps. And if they say they do, they're lying. It's a marketing strategy. So I'm well aware that if I was to go back into that paradigm, I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be satisfied. So it reminded me again of the power of emotional leverage. It's like, all right, Alex, look, if you want cute girls, if you want dating abundance, if you want to be confident, you want to be that fucking guy that's cool, charismatic, has a lot of friends, doesn't give a fuck, can be socially free, you just got to stop being a fucking pussy, mate, and just put in the work, build the momentum, progressively desensitize, reframe some of these limiting beliefs and put in the work. And I did. 3 days later, after a lot of rejection, after a lot of social anxiety, after a lot of adversity, if you will, I cracked the code again and I got to the point where I was more loose, I was having more fun, I built the momentum. And even then, in terms of practical results and going out there and meeting women, you know, I still haven't got back to 100%, but I got back to 80% within 1 week of progressively going out. And I think that's the importance. It's like if you guys take breaks, if you get into relationships or you focus on your business for a little while, you focus on gym or other forms of personal development, if you ever take breaks, take the pressure off yourself when you go back out there to start meeting girls or meeting new people and socializing. Take the pressure off of yourself and understand that because you have taken a break, you will not perform at the levels that you used to. Don't put the pressure on yourself to perform at a really high level when you first start going out there. Just remember the little wins. Remember, it's like Did you go out? Did you have resistance to going out? Did you do it? If the answer is yes, that's a fucking win. Did you randomly say hello or like gave someone a random compliment? Did you feel resistance to it? If you did, it's a win. Did you approach the pretty girl that you found attractive? It's a win. Did you get rejected? That's a fucking win too, because you still went out there and took the action. So yeah, I just wanted to just kind of like make a video, like a more authentic piece of content to just let you guys know that I struggle with the same stuff. It's like if I take breaks, I don't go out there and do a lot of cold approach, and I'm focused on business or other forms of self-development, I go through the same issues that you guys go through. But the only difference is when I face adversity, yes, I might have some of those limiting beliefs pop up and want to go back into my little comfort zone and play on the chode mode where you're going to go back on the dating apps or like slide into girls' DMs or rely on your social circle or hook up with, you know, morbidly obese women. If that's what you want to do, you can do that, but for me, I'm not going to do that. And I don't want you guys to do that either. I want you to understand that if I struggle with this, it's like it should be relatable to you. It's like, okay, cool. Like if a coach has been doing this for years, also has the same struggles, it's like you should just understand that everyone goes through the same thing. But the people that absolutely kill it in life, the people that are really successful in business, in gym, in their health, in their fitness, in their dating lives, it's like you go through that period, you can observe the limiting beliefs pop up, you can watch the resistance arise within the body, but you just don't react to it. You acknowledge it, you feel it, you accept it, but you push past it. So yeah, long story short, that is my struggles with approach anxiety after a 5-month break. These are my thoughts. This is what I've been going through in the last week. And now I've reached a point where I've got 80% of my skill set back, and all it took was just a little bit of an immersion. So if you guys are struggling too, take the pressure off yourself, go out there, build some social momentum, use some progressive desensitization exercises if you need. There's a bunch of content there accessible to you guys in our Facebook group if you click on the link in the description if you want access to that. Or maybe you want to get our new Unleash 2.0 video course that covers everything that you need to know about approach anxiety, learning success with women, becoming the best version of yourself. Because that'll be accessible soon too. So yeah, happy to have a chat with you guys. And if you enjoy this type of more authentic, real type of content, then please leave a like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you boys in the next video.